Palisades fire. This was the worst. It has scorched nearly 20,000 acres so far. Now, the containment there is at 6% for the Palisades fire. At least 20 looters have been arrested for taking advantage of these fire victims who had to abandon their homes. And then on top of that, residents there are facing an insurance crisis. Fox Business's Ashley Webster is live from Palm Coast, Florida this morning with more on that angle. Ashley.
Yeah, good morning to you, Maria. Look, we know that now thousands of structures have been destroyed by those wildfires, leaving homeowners with nothing but charred remains.
There's going to be an extraordinary number of claims being filed, and probably, from my experience as 8 years of insurance commissioner, the insurance companies are going to do everything they can to lowball and deny claims.
Well, insurers in California have been refusing to write new policies in areas considered high risk for wildfires. According to the California Department of Insurance, between 2020 and 2022, insurance companies declined to renew 2.8 million homeowner policies in the state. That includes 531,000 in fire-ravaged LA County.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great Sunday morning. I wanted
Discover your style during our month-long sale at Farmers Home for
wanted to comment on basically the crisis with the wildfires out in California, right? Now, many of you who watch the channel know I'm an advocate for universal basic income. And the tragedy that's happened out in California, you know, we're at a stage now where I don't believe in politicizing what's happened out there in California. What the channel is about is trying to discuss with the viewers solutions and applications to problems. You know, in the spirit of doing that, we find that universal basic income just simply provides a solution for a great deal of problems, right? And so our heart goes out to the people who've lost so much in the wildfires out in California. But we want to also, you know, make it clear that you have to understand that insurance companies, you know, the way they're set up are not at fault. They are part of a system that we've decided to partake in, and that system is called capitalism, right? And these insurance companies are set up to be for-profit businesses. In the case where they can't be profitable under capitalism, that's not a good business model. And so these insurance companies, when they're faced with crises like this, like any other operation where they're pushed to bankruptcy, they're going to just declare that, and the debtors they owe, right, the policy holders, they just aren't going to be paid, right? Now, it's a crappy you know, system when you think about it, but it is one that we've accepted as to be a good system, and some even go to the point of saying the best system that we've ever had, right? Whether you believe that or not, the reality of what happens with the system we've devised is what it is. And the reality is many of these homeowners aren't going to be paid out. They're going to get nothing, right? They're not going to receive anything. Now, we have to, you know, also consider that in LA County, right, these are the fire targeted areas, right? These are the danger zones, right? 531,000 people uh, can possibly be denied, right? In LA County, right? It's a high danger zone. A lot of these people, policies were dropped right before the wildfires because they knew that this was coming, right? Now, when you think of home ownership, I want you to understand that when you're dealing with these areas out in the Palisades and Malibu, it is important that you understand that a home isn't just some vanity building where you want to show off to people, and it's this thing where you just happen to purchase it like you purchase anything else. No, a home is can literally be your entire nest egg, right? It could be your entire life savings, right? Even many of these people we see as millionaires, per se, actors in Hollywood as such, maybe 20 years ago, some of these people were superstars, right? Making large sums of money. But that was 20 years ago. A lot of times you're now at a stage where these people have put a lot of their money in their homes, right? And that's going to be their retirement. If that home's $20-30 million, they're going to be able to refinance that home or sell that home, and that's going to be the money they live off, right? Now, what happens in the event the insurance companies won't insure them, right? They can't sell the home because there is no home to sell. It's been burned down, and all of their life savings has went into this home, right? As to say, over the years, that's where a lot of their money went. Their careers were popping off 20 years ago. They're not getting as many roles now, right? And so this is a story with a lot of people, right? And so what happens is they go into their retirement depending on those homes to be their retirement, right? Because a lot of your investments, a lot of the money you have set aside for retirement is just not just sitting in cash, right? And so what happens, they end up with nothing, right? Now, here, what's happening as well is a lot of people who are out there in California for various reasons, whether it been losing their home in wildfires, or whether it was regulation, or whether they didn't like the local politics, or whatever case may be, you hear stories of, or insurance, you hear stories of many of them moving out to Texas, moving to Idaho, moving to Wyoming, moving to Montana, moving to Georgia, moving to North Carolina. And so what you have to understand about this is, if you're in a situation like this and that were to happen, and you moved out of an expensive place like California, and you did move to Iowa, Idaho, you moved into the Midwest, right? If you had an extra $1,000 to $2,000 per month and you faced a crisis like this, that would be very significant, because in those places, even if you had nothing, right? In those places, okay, you would, that money would go a long way, right? You got to understand that $2,000 a month or $1,000 extra dollars per month in Iowa, in Idaho, is vastly different than $2,000 or $1,000 in New York, in California, in Miami, right? And so this starts to point to a solution, because here's the problem, guys. When the federal government gets involved, wasn't it, I think, during the hurricane situations, right? The disasters of, many of the hurricanes that swept through. I believe FEMA was giving these people like $700 FEMA checks, right? It just, it's just too disastrous, right? So it's give them like $700, right? So whether it be the federal government, what is $700 going to do if you've lost $1 million home? So $700, is the insurance company's not paying out, right? All of those things are going to end up with you having nothing. So it's getting bad now. A lot of these celebrities, You know, they're doing GoFundMe's to help their family members out as such. You know, some of them might still have some liquid cash as such, but, you know, when a $20-30 million home burns down, we got to address the point that that's a lot of these people's net worth. A lot of times when we see how much a celebrity is worth, how much an actor is worth, how much people living out in California are worth, the big bulk of that is coming from their real estate, right? It's coming from their homes, right? And if they're all getting burned up in California and they're in these counties where people don't, where the insurance companies don't want to honor these policies, then that means that they're actually losing 40, 50, 60 million dollars that they've put into. So imagine that. That's like throwing away $50 million, right? Just think about that. So in the cases where maybe you're the guy with the $1 million home, a $500,000 home, it gets burnt up, right? And you just want to pack it up, that was, your savings and such. And now you've moved out of there. You got to try to rebuild, right? Of course, if you try to rebuild in California, same thing can happen. You don't get insured. You lose all your money. The house burns down again. Because make no mistake about it, these fires are going to keep happening in California as they've always happened. And I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but they're even saying things like these people are burning these homes down on purpose, right? They're setting these fires on purpose. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't really do conspiracy theories, but if it is, that's just even more fire to the flames, right? Heat to the flames. And so universal basic income could not only be a solution for this, universal basic income would probably be one of the best solutions for it. If the insurance companies are going to just collect your money and willy-nilly decide not to pay, right, your premiums. Because, again, not their fault. It's just the structure we live in. It's the system we live in. We live in a for-profit business situation that doesn't care about general citizens over that, right? That's the system we've chosen. We didn't choose any other system. We said any other system was a bad system. If we put together a government system that put citizens first and said, well, it's not right that this citizen is homeless on the street, he doesn't have, and so our first priority is going to be keeping that from happening. If we had a system like that, we wouldn't have that problem. But we chose the other system, right? The system that says, you got to, everything that you gain, you got to blood, sweat, and tears work to get it, right? And, if you don't, then you don't deserve it. And if you die on the street, so be it. So that's what we've chosen instead, right? So when these things happen and the system can't make up for a for-profit situation, something unfortunate happens to you where you cannot do that, like in the case of these fires burning these people's homes down in California, and despite them trying to get insurance, they just won't insure them because they're saying that the damages that would be far beyond what they're putting into the system. Then there's nothing you can do about that unless you decide to change the system itself from only being a profit-driven model, right? And there are many reasons why it shouldn't be that, right? We have examples of systems working without being that, because then what you're saying is material goods are, you're saying rocks on the ground, you're saying inanimate objects are more important than living human beings, right? Living, breathing human beings. And so something like universal basic income, if you did have to start over and you had nothing, you've just lost $30 million in your home that was going to be your retirement, right? You're going to sell that house and you're going to get $20-30 million that's now gone, burned up in flames because it wasn't insured. That was going to be the money you're going to live off. You're going to refinance your mortgage. You're going to sell your home. You're going to get an apartment or a smaller home and live off the 20-30 million, you know, the profits, you buy another home for 5 million, you're still profited 25 million, and so you live off that $25 million. Now you don't have that. You don't have anything, right? And so you have a $700 FEMA check. Understand? So if you had that $1,000, $2,000 per month from universal basic income, and then say you move to Idaho, you move to Wyoming, you move to North Dakota, you move to South Dakota, right? You move to these peaceful, less expensive places. Now you're able to live off of that, right? So now you've went from having nothing to living off something, and there have been many models conducted that show we can afford universal basic income for all our citizens in that way. Maybe you had a house of 3 or 4 adults, right? So now your household is bringing in $5,000, $10,000 a month from universal basic income. You can afford a home out in Kansas, right? And so those are just some things to think about, but we can't blame the insurance companies for a structure and a system that we ourselves have decided should be it. That it is the best model we have, and that this is what we want. And you especially can't blame insurance companies if you're anti-universal basic income, because you're anti any other way of addressing the issue, right? And so those are some things to think about. I think that's all I want to say in the video, guys. If you're into universal basic income, if you like content like this, the best thing you could do is subscribe to the channel. If you're a pro UBI person, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, right? So we can get that out and we get more people talking about it and more people promoting universal basic income. That's all I want to say in this video. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.